Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much, Sir Ashish, for this gracious introduction. Uh, so, welcome everyone to the foundation course, as I would call it, for the essay module of CSS 2020. This is Emanuddin, and I hope you all are good and fine. Today, I will be delving into a little bit, only a little bit, of how I'm going to approach this particular subject. This is not, a quick fix recipe, or it is not going to be very comprehensive. It is going to be precise, but trying to cover all the things and giving you an idea as to what would be my style, my approach, and what had been my learning and experience while taking my own exams for CSS in 2011 and 2014, and what had been my learning and experience as an instructor, or you can say a teacher for essay, and a thing with which I have been associated for quite a while now, more than 3 to 4 years. Alhamdulillah. So let's begin without any further ado. If you guys fail to understand anything that I am presenting, or anything that you feel you disagree with, just let me know. But you can type it in the text box and not on the mic. I hope everybody would adhere to this very small rule in the class. You can ask all the questions that you want, but please do not turn on the mic. And anything that comes to your mind, you can type in the chat box. That is a feature of your Zoom app. Thank you very much. First of all, this essay module will be divided into two parts. Number one, technique, and number two, discussions. By technique, what I mean is the basics of how writing should be approached. This will be a kind of foundation into a communication of ideas. We will upgrade it to communication for the essay of CSS, but we will begin with the basic communication strategy and basic communication skills that are required for written communications. For example, how to build a case, what are the elements of coherent and comprehensive essay, how to cultivate your own particular style, all these things, how to set the tone, what should be the length of the paragraph, how to write the introduction, how to write the thesis statement, how to select the topic. Let's begin with that. So all these things are actually part of the technique. As I approach it, introduction for me is a standalone piece of writing. It is not part of your regular essay. It stands alone. So you must know how to make your introduction stand alone. There should be a specified, technique to make your introduction stand alone. And we will discuss in detail how to write an introduction, and then how to make it connect with the rest of the paragraphs. So the first part will be dedicated to technique, and the second part will be dedicated to discussions. For the discussions part, we will discuss different topics. For example, democracy, women empowerment, Kashmir issue, for example, environmental issues or climate change, so to say. So we will be making a combination of the classes. Someday we will discuss a technique, and then in the next class we will discuss a topic, and then we will try to apply the technique to the topic that we have just discussed. So this is how we are going to, go about it. The most important feature of my module, which is close to my heart, and I always emphasize and re-emphasize and re-emphasize, is critical thinking, critical reading, and critical writing. One thing that CSS people are like FPSC or the panel is trying to locate in you is your ability to think critically. If you demonstrate it, adequately in your essay exam, there is a very high chance that you will be get selected. So this is one of the highlights of my technique part of the module. So I will be giving you small assignments like I'll be asking you to read certain articles and share your opinion on that, or I will be giving you writing assignments where I will be particularly looking for your ability to write analysis or your analytical skills will be put to test. Or I'll be sharing with you Goodreads where you have a good chance to read critically and cultivate this habit and skill of reading critically. This is about the module and our methodology. But what stands apart from that is something very, very important. And that is how you approach CSS. What is the answer to the basic question in your mind? If this basic question is correct in your mind, I believe you can easily qualify for CSS. And when I say easily, it is not proverbially, I mean it. Most of the people would not qualify CSS as has been demonstrated in the past over many, many years. The reason being that the basic question is not addressed, or they have addressed it in a wrong manner, or their answer is not right. If you are approaching CSS as just a job, then and you are thinking that if you demonstrate very high skills in knowledge and you'll get qualified, then my dears, you have not addressed the basic question accurately. If it were the case, the bureaucracy could have been easily formed by selecting the toppers of the universities of Pakistan, and it would have been a very, very easy exercise to undertake. But that is not the case because academics and knowledge, so to say, or information, the amount of information that you have is not what put to test. They're not testing you to know what you know or how much you know. They're testing you to know what you know, how you present it, what you know, how you use it, what you know, how you analyze it, and bring something out of it for the government or your country. For example, I'll give you one example, and this is one of the most pertinent examples. When they're writing you when they're asking you to write about a given topic, for example, let's say reforms, governance reforms. So most of you would be discussing the bad situation that is in the country, or you will be writing about poor governance, which is very okay because you have to tell what is the current situation. But what is the synthesis of this information? What is the use of this information? What is your prognosis? What do you want to say or communicate, so to say? We all know that the country is not governed right and there is poor governance in the country. But what to do with this information? So this has to change. And how it has to change? So an officer would always come up with a how part, how you would do this. There is a solution, there are idealists, there are academics, there is a whole lot of intelligentsia that tells us every day what should be done, how should things be, and this and that. But an officer or someone who has, who is a solution giver, who is a leader would come up with a solution. So if you have this approach accurately placed in your mind, then let me assure you that half the job is done for qualifying the CSS. So just bring your mind out of this shell that the more I know, the higher are my chances to get allocated. No, that is not true. I'll give you, it's not very nice to give my own personal example because I might not be the perfect role model, but I'm just giving you this example so if there are people who could relate, they could relate easily. When I took my first attempt in CSS, I was not even 21 years old. That is the basic eligibility criteria. Like when I was trying to take my CSS. So I started preparing at the age of 20 and I sat in the exam at the age of 21 years and 2 months, 10 days old. I didn't know much. The group in which I was competing knew much, much more than me. And it was reflected very easily on the interview day when people were discussing very, grand ideas. And I was kind of a kid, not, clear on many, many basic things and with the basic general knowledge. But I qualified and I scored highest in the interview, in the group of interview that I was sitting. Also, I scored um 67 in my first attempt in essay paper. And I would not say that this was because of my superior amount of information or knowledge. I did not know much. I had only a graduation, a basic graduation as for my educational qualification at that point in time. But I did manage to qualify the CSS and score 194 marks, 93 or 94 marks in my interview. Why? Because the basic question in my mind was very clear. I knew that they were trying to locate an officer, and I had to present my thinking, my writing, my behavior, my personality, everything as if it were already of an officer. So my direction of hard work was pretty much dedicated in this area that I have to be an officer, and an officer would never use other people's words because he is a leader, he is a supposed leader, and a leader would not follow others, rather he would show others how to tread a certain path. So the people who are normally cramming their essays, I would tell them that you have very low chance of getting qualified. If you're trying to collect other people's material and then cram it and gobble it your way, let me tell you, you are not doing the right thing. So, if this question is addressed and you have your approach right, what comes next? Next thing is that you know that this cramming, this boggling, this gobbling of information is not going to serve us, and we are going to work very hard to acquire real-time skill to write on our own. And when you are focused on acquiring the skill to write on your own, then you are on the right path. Then you have taken the first step and then you have already done half the job. So I hope that this is clear to everyone. If you have any questions, you can ask me. This is a part of my first lecture, and we will discuss all the stages of writing. Again, this lecture would reiterate that writing and I will dedicate adequate amount of time on all the steps that I am flashing in front of you right now. So before starting the introduction, we would have to undertake almost 10 to 12 steps. And once you know these steps, trust me, you will vouchsafe for me and for everyone that writing an essay is not that difficult because now you have broken down the task into smaller tasks which are manageable, and for every step and every stage of writing the essay you have very great clarity. So this is how I'm going to approach the whole module. And a little bit about myself, since Sarashij said in the introduction that I would tell you about myself and I did not. I belong to Foreign Service of Pakistan 43rd Common. When I say 43rd Common, that means 2014. My first attempt was in 2011, and I was allocated an office management group, and I worked in finance division for 2 years, almost 2 years, and then I worked in foreign office in China division for the CPEC and as policy planning, which again is a task, is an assignment where you have to write profusely. You have to write concept papers, you have to write ideas, you have to write speeches, etc., etc. So that was one thing that honed my writing skills really well, I must say. And then presently I'm working in protocol, went to Jordan for my Arabic language training. This is all about my career. As far as my educational credentials are concerned, I have a master's in political science from Punjab University and an MSc in poverty reduction from University of London. And I have undertaken trainings at Klingendal, Netherlands, Holland, Belgium, Germany, and Jordan, as I already mentioned. I also went to China for a short course, but that is part of a very regular thing, not something biggie. So this is all about myself. My first attempt in CSS, I scored in essay 67, and in my second attempt in essay, I scored 64. So both the times I scored above average marks, and I was very happy that I managed to score above 60, which was at that time considered above average. Um, so this is how, you know, these are the things that you must keep in your mind. Just one thing, I had won few essay writing competitions back at my college, and I also won once an award for short story writing by Karachi Literature Festival that was held by Oxford. I think many of you would already be knowing about Karachi and Islamabad Literature Festival. So that is a short snapshot about my journey and association with writing. And I hope I'll be able to impart to you some basic skills as to how we should approach writing, how we should approach reading, and how we should go about essay writing for the CSS. Of course, we can all write. Many of you must be writing already in their journals or in their personal diaries, or they are writing poetry or anything. But writing for CSS essay is a relatively different thing. We will be looking at both of them, how it is different from the basic writing, and what are the advanced skills that you need to have to, qualify the CSS essay. So this is all about uh, me and my module. If you have any questions, you can now post on the chat box. We will be taking questions for next 7 to 10 minutes. No, Sipten, I would not recommend that. Simpler the English language, simple the greater your chances are to score high. Because the purpose here is not to impress with your English, because this is not an exam of English. This is an exam of essay. An essay is a test of your communication skills, how well you can present an argument, how convincing you are, what what do you really want to say, and how well you say it, and do you get your results or not. So This is not an English exam. If it were, then yes, it could have mattered, but it is not an English examination. It is essay exam. English is only a medium. The basic skill that you require here is your ability to advance an argument, to do analysis, to defend it, and then convince your examiner. Yes, yes, your simple language, error-free, no grammatical mistakes is perfectly all right. You're welcome, Safed. Any other questions? No questions? Well, very good questions. I'm going to deliver 1 hour lecture on how to build up your reading and understanding comprehension skills. So don't worry about that. That when I say critical reading, critical thinking, critical writing, this all would include your tips and techniques, how to hone your skills in building your vocabulary. We are also going to launch a few new sessions. A new session, I will personally try to take it a vocabulary session where we will be engaging students to build their vocabulary and test them in the use of their vocabulary. So that is going to be a great opportunity for all of you. If you can attend that session, that will really, really help you. I'll be giving you the worksheets, uh, for example, to use in your own words, in your own sentences certain words, and you'll be given vocabulary lists, and then you'll be tested in that with small tasks, for example, synonyms, antonyms, or match the columns, etc., etc. This is going to be a bit engaging, but if you even if you retain 50% of the words through these small exercises, it is going to be rewarding. So do try to join that session and do try to attempt all the assignments that we will be giving you, and this is going to be really helpful. So in addition to vocabulary, we are also going to, of course, I always tell people and my students how to build the basic comprehension skills, etc. Story, no, but yes, you have to make your introduction catching and grabbing. There's no second opinion on that. I will explain the marking criteria in my first lecture, don't worry. When I will have divided the components of essay in the first lecture, I will discuss the marking criteria as well. We will have a full-fledged lecture on how to write introduction, and then I will discuss all these things that you are asking related to introduction. Well, we will discuss the technicalities. If you have any question related to methodology, approach, administration, you can ask now. But about the essay from the first formal session, inshallah. How many days classes? This depends on administration, and minimum 3 to 4 classes. Evaluation, I will give you the assignments and then I will check your assignments and give you the feedback. And after it will be 2 months session, and we will also take your exam at the end of the session, and then you will get marks. But meantime, on every after almost after every class you'll get an assignment, and you will send me that assignment to email, and uh, I will give you marks and feedback. Mostly I give feedback in the form of the Word document, and I require my students to submit their assignments in the form of Word documents, so it's easy for me to insert the comments, and to trace the comments is then of course easier for the students. Well, P20 light. We will discuss this thing that should it be neutral, should it not be neutral in the first essay lecture. As I already said that this is only going to be about orientation and the basic methodology. It is a very complicated question. On the face of it, it's very simple, but it requires a lot of detail to be clear about it. So I will be discussing all that in the next session, in the first formal session. I have already discussed what is the basic methodology, Hafsa. I think I began with that. I'm really glad to see you guys interested, and it's also encouraging that you have all have such heightened interest and curiosity. It's always encouraging that you guys want to learn. Please don't feel discouraged when I say that this question will be addressed in the next session, because I want to address it in a very proper manner. That is why I am deferring it. I am not denying it, only deferring it. So that is one thing. Second, when you pose a question, it's very very life giving to this very bizarre virtual environment. The more you participate, the more lively it will become. The more I'll know the level of the lot that I'm dealing with. If I feel that people are coming with very intelligent questions, and this is a very capable lot, then I will also upgrade my level of giving you the techniques and tips and uh, suggestions, advices. So the more you participate, it's good. Yes, I will discuss certain books, but again in the first lecture. This is just an orientation. In 2 months we are going to have 3 to 4 classes in a week, probably three maximum, could be four, and an evaluation exam. I will be discussing how to in hone your skills with reading, and the reading is the key to good writing. But why a certain book should be read and how it should be read is a bit longish thing to discuss, and today is not the right time for that, I believe. So in the next session we are going to do that. Try to get yourself registered by tomorrow, inshallah, so we can have the class from day after tomorrow, or then we will have a class after 2 days. So this is it. So try to get the registration done. My notes and evaluation of the assignments will be done only for the registered students. Once you are registered, Sir Ashish will share with me the list of the registered students, and the evaluation will only be done for the registered students. Yes, Sipan, I agree with whosoever has said it to you. Essay is a test of personality, and I sometimes call it a mini psychological. It is the most subtle tool that they have to judge who you actually are. If you are a leader, it will show up. If you are a pessimist, it will show up. If you are a defeatist, it will show off. from the prognosis that you will be presenting in the paper. I'll be discussing all these, subtleties and finer shades and threads and thought processes in the next lecture in great detail. I hope the next class is going to be very interesting for all of you, given the kind of questions that you all are posing. So get the registration done, and see you next time in the next session, inshallah. Any other question related to the methodology and the approach and orientation? Okay, so we end it here because I believe that this is unfair to you guys to keep talking about the thing and not address your questions. See you next time in the first lecture, inshallah. Till then, take care. And if you have still left any queries or you come up with any confusion later on, if you want any kind of counseling, if you have any question that is unresolved for you in your personal and professional life and that needs to be addressed and needs guidance, there is a very capable faculty available at Vocabulary Time, very helpful. You can approach any of them. You can ask Sarashish or any other faculty member to help you in that, whom you feel you can trust most or whom you can feel has the wisest judgment. You can contact them and discuss your particular situation and get yourself enrolled. You feel free to write, to email, to call once you are registered. So this is all, and I hope to see you soon, inshallah, in the next class. Till then, take good care of yourself. Allah Hafiz, and bye bye.